the topic we have tonight is one I'm personally very interested in because it's the one topic I know the least amount about, so I'm hoping to learn quite a bit here. So how did we get to this topic of hybrid meetings? Well, mostly it started because of the pandemic and because of some of the mandates. It shut down a lot of our clubs, and but we're Toastmasters, so we find a way to continue on through virtual meetings. And a lot of us thought, well, it'll be easy. You just need a laptop. We'll make a go of it. I think the last 2 years has proven it's not always that easy. And we've got face-to-face meetings and Zoom meetings. They have to be run somewhat different, not one size fits all. So that's the topic tonight, hybrid meetings. It's how to make an in-person meeting and a virtual meeting feel like it's one combined experience. And our speaker tonight is going to share with us some tips on hybrid meetings. Our speaker is Tom Carlson. Now, Tom joined Toastmasters at the ripe age of 46, and he's now in his 44th year as a Toastmaster. He believes that because of Toastmasters, a whole new life has opened up to him. And he likens his Toastmaster journey as to living in a field of gems. His personal mission is to inspire others to put a value on Toastmasters second only to their source of moral values. On top of COVID-19 in 2020, Tom was broadsided with a rare disease last September 2021. He lost all his strength and he was totally unable to help himself. Had he not recovered and the COVID-19 mandates remained, Tom's Toastmaster years might be over. But thanks to Zoom, his Toastmaster career continues. Tom now belongs to 3 clubs, plus visiting other clubs, sometimes as a featured speaker. As a reminder of our format, we'll spend about 30 minutes on this presentation by Tom. And if you have topics that you want to bring up for discussion, put them in the chat window. I'll monitor that, and if they're appropriate for stopping and quick answer by Todd, we'll do that. Otherwise, we'll hold them and save them for the final 30 minutes of our time tonight, where we can have more of a discussion and dialogue. So with that, I would like to welcome Tom Carlson.
Thank you, Keith. And now that I'm still here, I do have some things to do, so let's go. We could thank the pandemic for giving us meetings to which Toastmasters International turned in order to survive. Now clubs are saying, we're looking forward to the day when we can get back to face-to-face meetings, and I couldn't agree more. But some members I hear saying, I'm looking forward to getting back or away from hybrid meetings. No, I could not disagree more. Facts matter. Membership is down in all organizations, and we all say, I don't have enough time. That's not a good excuse. Nobody can make more time. We just have too many things to do. More options, more times, something has to give. And people walk away from whatever has the least value. Maybe Toastmasters drop out because I don't think they know the value that it has. A family in Michigan was moving, and when the last article was put on the van, one of the workers asked, what do you want to do with this rock for holding the door open? Throw it on. He picked it up and dropped it. It was so heavy. They found that it was a meteorite worth a lot. Some people drop Toastmasters because at times it gets pretty heavy. They never knew its value. and when it became a burden, they dropped it. My first return to face-to-face meetings was last week at our club. It was wonderful. I joined three excellent clubs. And if I didn't have hybrid meetings, I would never attend in person. Why? I no longer drive after dark, and I avoid fast and heavy traffic. But now I have new friends who are committed to Toastmasters. And thank you, COVID-19. You've done me good. I'm not here today to promote hybrid meetings. I'm here to refine hybrid meetings. I liken Toastmasters to a field of gems. Gems are stones created from time and pressure. Those stones are dug, the dross is washed away, chipped, and they are shaped to reflect light, and they are polished to become jewels. That's exactly what's happening in Toastmasters. TI dug up virtual meetings, and through washing, chipping away, they have given us hybrid meetings. Now we need to polish our hybrid meetings and make them into jewels. I said I'm not here to promote hybrid meetings over face-to-face. I'm here to inspire you to polish your hybrid meetings. Hybrid meetings can become a tool that clubs can use to make their club a better environment to grow in. So stop saying, I don't like hybrid meetings. Instead, polish your hybrid meetings, and you will find new members, gems who will otherwise would be unknown to society, and Toastmasters can make them into jewels. Toastmasters should not take comfort in the fact that membership decline is happening everywhere in service clubs, and they all say nothing can be done about that. Not true for Toastmasters. Something can be done about hemorrhaging members and instead be increasing members. I've often said Toastmasters is not a service club, but it is in this sense. We volunteer to help others grow their communication skills so they will go out into the world and make it a better place. That's public service. We don't raise money to give away. We give of ourselves to make leaders in the community. Toastmasters needs members who have passion because they value their membership. And District 35 is doing something about it, evidenced by these programs that we're having every other Sunday. Many club meetings have been tarnished by the pandemic. All we have to do is to polish the tarnish away, so our meetings will become jewels that shine into the world. We have a huge market out there before us. People need help with their communication skills so they can become better leaders. Toastmasters is a self-improvement program, a basic human need, and there will always be a need for that. Toastmasters just has to awaken the community that they can satisfy the need for self-improvement. It's there. It does not have to be reinvented. People will always want to get ahead and become better at what they love doing. You don't have to leave a career field to move up. People just have to break through their ceiling, glass ceiling. Toastmasters teaches and polishes the skills needed to propel you beyond their comfort zone. We have to be the spark that ignites the fire of passion to break through the glass ceiling and reach the stars. Toastmasters need to retain members for more than 2.5 years. A well-polished hybrid club meetings will attract members instead of driving them out. It will take hard work, sweat, and commitment, and we can do that. Now let's get on to how we can polish our hybrid meeting gems to become a shining and attracting star. Virtual meetings poorly run do just the opposite, and that can kill a club. COVID-19 comes along and membership declines because face-to-face meetings were mandated to stop, and it became easy to drop the things that took extra effort. People take the easy way out by dropping the rock. Thank goodness hybrid meetings came along, but now we need to do a lot of polishing to bring them up to speed. So here we are with hybrid meetings that should be professionally run to become amazing. But to date, many are poorly run. The challenge is to get every member of the club member on board, and it'll be for their own good. Our first virtual meetings were raw and a difficult experience. Fortunately, the virtual meeting format is developing and still evolving, and we are crossing the divide. Hybrid meetings today are a lot more than our first virtual meetings. When is it right to say yes to hybrid? Well, first we have to settle the issue of hybrid meetings. Everybody has to get on board. Will clubs do face-to-face meetings only, virtual meetings, or hybrid only? There's really only one answer. Any club with 10 or fewer members showing up for a meeting is a strong candidate for hybrid meetings. If members are spread all over the country or world, hybrid is the only option. If the club has 20 members or more in a local area, just face-to-face will work. But what about the members that have a headache, a physical handicap, or a kid's basketball game? When is no the right answer to hybrid meetings? If a club cannot do a hybrid meeting correctly, the answer is no. Drop it. If you can't do it right, don't do it at all. Slide number 1, please. Poorly run hybrid meetings are membership killers, ultimately club killers. This virtual meeting is not a shining star. Some of those virtual members have already left the meeting. Now let's get down to some of the technical stuff. And from this point on, folks, I am talking to you as an expert. Seriously. I took Latin in high school, and I learned that words are made from root words, and the word expert is an excellent example. It comes from 2 root words, ex and spurt. Ex meaning a has-been, and spurt being a drip under pressure. Now, I am not an IT person by any stretch, so bear with me, and if you can help this self-proclaimed expert, please jump in with your questions or further clarification at any time. I hope that Keith can manage this session in an interactive, because I told him I might need help. I've seen enough hybrid meetings that I know what has to be fixed, but I might not be the right person how to fix it. I just want you to get it fixed. Audio and video outages can happen. This is where bandwidth comes into play. Slide number 2. All those tracks have to merge into one. If you lose audio or video at home, it's probably because you're pushing too much data through your internet connection. If there are others on the same Wi-Fi playing games or using the internet, that might cause drops. Or looking at it like a garden hose. A 1/4-inch garden hose will only transmit a small stream of water, and to fill a can of water will take time. To get a full pail of water, you need a 3/4-inch diameter hose. To fix bandwidth, go to your internet provider and talk about slow internet. One speed does not fit all. Hybrid meetings need the right technical devices or whatever with the need to be a blend of face-to-face and virtual. The two different meetings have to be blended into one, and they have to be run not as face-to-face exclusively or not as virtual exclusively. As I explain the technical aspects, try to imagine wearing two hats. Does it make sense? Both sides have to work together so they can overlap into one happy group. Virtual members, and I've been one for a couple of years, would prefer to be with the audience members at the meeting room. They must not be ignored. They must not be treated differently. Slide number 3. Here you see two rows of tables. The meeting room layout is very, very important. Again, as I said, don't ever forget the remote audience, because we would all prefer to be in person with you. So it's important that it looks like they're physically with you in the room. To accomplish this, you're going to need a second camera viewing the audience. So we people that are watching virtually can see the audience. It can be done by connecting to a smartphone, placed on a tripod near or in front of the lectern, which will catch a wide-angle view of the audience. The audience needs to be a part of the meeting. That device's audio will have to be turned off, otherwise there will be feedback. So only this camera at the meeting site should be with the video on, with the audio on. The same is true for anybody who brings their laptop to a meeting venue. Their audio has to be turned off. Screen number 4, slide number 4. The layout of this meeting room can make a significant impression on visitors and for virtual viewers. First impressions are so important. Keep it warm and friendly. Always avoid walking in front of the camera. You want to lay out so that the room has the shortest distance between 2 points. Chairs lined up with a side view to the camera is better than a back view of the head view. There's nothing good looking about a bald spot. No, I'm not referring to shaved heads or a mass of hair. Consider banquet-sized tables with the end pointed towards the lectern, and make sure that the distance between the 2 points from a chair to the lectern is the shortest distance. Classroom tables settings is not the best for virtual meetings. If your club has good marketing for new members, you should expect visitors who should find seats in the back of the reserved area of the room with a tent card marked visitor. Have the room entrance should be at the back of the room. If you can't have it that way, then have a plan on how to handle latecomers. Don't leave the lectern in front of a window span, as your face will turn dark. Try different placements for a projection screen if you're using PowerPoint or something. When you just have a laser printer for the speaker so they don't have to leave the lectern. Everyone knows the Toastmaster rule. Never, ever leave the lectern empty. And a handshake or a fist touch is good when trading places. And be sensitive to remote listeners by having private chatter between meeting room members. That ignores the virtual member, and that's not good. If you're chatting and having fun, and we talk about fun meetings, that's important, but just keep in mind that you're leaving the virtual participants out, and they're feeling like they're being set aside. Slide number 4. You have to sound good. This is so important. If you don't listen to everything else on this program tonight, hear this. Without question, sound is the biggest stumbling block to hybrid meeting quality. The audience comes to hear you speak, not to see you speak. Good sound will always make video look better. If a virtual listener is not hearing another speaker well, it's probably the speaker's equipment that is the cause. Laptops and desktops come with embedded mics, and unless they're newer devices, the mic is a piece of junk. All you need to know about the mic in your laptop is that it's not good unless it's a new piece of equipment. Your voice will pick up ambient sounds and you'll sound like you're speaking from a tunnel. Just assume that your mic is not good and do something about it. The newest mics are better and you can try them, but keep your option to return it if it's not doing what you expect to do. Most of the stores have a return policy. A headset like I'm wearing is an excellent solution and it makes a world of difference. There are webcams that will solve audio quality issues. This camera costs 15 bucks and it solves the audio issues. There are webcams that cost less than $25. This headset cost me 25 bucks. And they all have noise canceling embedded mics. Isn't that wonderful? Audio issues have got to be solved. Just remember, poor audio quality starts at the speaker's end, not the listener's end. Poor sound drives virtual members away. I've left one club that I joined because 2/3 of the people I could not understand or hear. It should go without mentioning to the audience members who use a handheld mic, hold it close to your mouth. Not like some singers who I call screamers kissing the mic. Don't try that. 6 inches works, 20 inches doesn't work. Might put your sound coming from the next room. Not good. If this is all you get out of this session, if you have to leave now, you will have success with hybrid meetings. But there's more. I want to talk a bit about accent. All of the above tips does nothing to resolve accent issues. The only adjustment for accent is for the speaker to speak slowly and enunciate with their lips. Understand that people come to hear your message, not the sound of your voice. Google how to change an accent. Just remember, people come to hear your message, not your voice. So just 4 words will help. Slow down and enunciate. Slide number 6. The camera in a laptop lid or a tablet is perfectly placed to look up your nose. Not good. Never. The camera should be at the same height as your eyes. If the camera is just a tad higher than your eyes, that's better than just a tad lower than your eyes. Slide number 7. I jerry-rigged my webcam so it sits almost in the center of my screen. If you are going with a good camera within your device, simply if you have a good camera in your device, simply put some books under your device to raise it up to near the eye level. And this is so important. Talk to the camera. Don't talk to the screen. That's a bad habit. We've been doing it for all the years. More in my case than yours. Talk to the camera, not to the screen. tough to change. But if you don't change it, it becomes a distraction. One of the ways I think that'll help me is, when you wave your hand to someone, your eyes automatically go to their person's eyes. Think of it that way, that you're wanting to look at the eye of the camera and pretend that you're saying, cheese. If you have to use notes, and I usually do, have them near the level of your camera. When gesturing, stay in the range of the camera eye. You cannot run all over the stage when you're speaking. And for that matter, the limits are even greater for the person that's speaking virtually, because their camera is the limit of where they can move to. Keep that in mind. And too far away from the camera will lose your facial gestures. Eye expression can be so powerful. Use them. Moving away from the mic will certainly cause a drop in your voice volume, so be aware of that. And an empty room is not good for the speaker. I'm in my bedroom right now, and there's lots of things to absorb the sound and echo. And again, if you don't know how to handle acoustics, Google it. The listener came to hear you, but wants it with a nice sound. Lighting. When I can't see your face, my ears won't pick up your smile or your eye expression. The audience wants to get everything from your speech, but your face is probably more important than the other parts of your body that we spend time on how to use gestures. Your face is your gestures, and lighting will make a world of difference in your facial gestures coming through. So avoid sitting beneath an overhead light. There are lights that will give you close to perfection of your complexion. I'm really missing up my words here. Slide number 9. Glass glare. I've worn glasses since I was 3 years old, and I don't like the way I look without glasses. So I'm trying to make adjustments with the light source that I have so that the shine is not blocking your eyes. We talk with our eyes. If your audience only sees a bright, shiny pair of glasses on your face instead of a shiny pair of eyes, how can they stay engaged? Appear the way your audience wants to see you, not the way you and I want to be seen. Slide number 10. The light from a laptop screen is usually a shade of blue, and it can make you look like a zombie. They are simple to fix by going to your settings, and don't ask me where they are, but you want to ask for a warmer shade. Cell phones call this blue light filter or night mode. A room light should wash over your face, not from behind. So consider the LED ring light or a light that mounts on the back of the screen. That's something relatively new. Both have light modes and brightness levels, so just avoid a light that shines into the camera. Slide number 11. And I hope, Keith, that my slides aren't mixed up at this point. Avoid silhouettes. As a speaker, avoid sitting with your back to an uncovered window or ceiling light. The camera will try to balance out that light from your background, and your face is going to lose, ending up in a silhouette. It's best to have a light behind your device. I'll say it again. A shadowy face is distracting. You don't want the listener to have to try to figure out what you look like in daylight. I can hear you better when I can see your face. And I want to talk about background. I have this beautiful needle point of the Great Wall of China. I found it on one of my China visits, and I paid less than $50 for it. I've had it appraised $3,500. And I would love to show it off, but it's not a good background. It's a distraction. Try to have something pleasant but innocuous behind you in real life. You are the star. Don't distract from you being the star. The background needs to complement you. A good background for a historical speech might be a full library. To the contrary, all those books might not be a good background for a speech about trout fishing. A forest background for a story about hunting would be great. Ocean waves might put me to sleep. Zoom gives you a few virtual backgrounds, or you could use one of your photos, but pick one that complements your message or your lifestyle. I am presently using the virtual background that is called Blur, so that you won't see what kind of wallpaper I have. Make sure to keep your surroundings simple and free of clutter. Avoid distractions as much as possible. If there are visitors to your club meeting, that's not a good time to show off your pet cat. Sorry. I love cats. However, I'm allergic to them. You are the star. And about clutter, no one should be wondering what that stuff is that's lying around you. Why are all these things important? Because through building our membership, we're going to be attracting people from the professional world. And if they see the way 50, 60, 70% of our hybrid meetings are run today, they're not going to be impressed. You have to look good, you have to sound good, and you have to act good. And that's 2,985 words, and it should be about 10 minutes. And let's get on to any Q&A questions. Oh, let me give this one more shot. I have a good friend who prints these boxes for Revlon. I couldn't believe the extremes that they go to get that color perfect. It's called packaging. Package yourself for your Toastmaster meeting. Wear the right garments. And if we got time, I've got some of those I can go through as I pull off the internet. Anybody can get those. But I want to tell you about Fred, my mentor. And it's a story about packaging. Fred was winning contests at the club level, at the area level, district level, division, the region level. And he got to the world finals 3 times. The only Toastmaster that's ever done that. And he wore a bright yellow jacket. And when he came to the annual conference where the district conference contest was, everybody knew who that was because he packaged himself. And I'm telling you the importance of packaging yourself. And now we can go on to Q&A.
All right. Well, great. Thanks a lot, Tom, for that fantastic presentation. We got a couple questions into the chat already. So, you know, the name of this topic is hybrid meetings. We've talked for over half an hour about hybrid meetings. How would you define a hybrid meeting?
I'm a horticulturist, meaning I was born or raised in a greenhouse. And we did develop hybrid flowers. but we sold a lot of them because they were better. But they would take a yellow chrysanthemum plant and take some of the pollen from a bronze chrysanthemum plant, and they would put them together and make a newer plant, a better plant. That's where the word hybrid comes from. We're taking a virtual meeting, excuse me, yes, we're taking a virtual meeting and combining it with an in-person meeting. And you can't run them one way. They've got to be a combination of both.
Okay. All right, great. And then I had a question. This one didn't come into the chat, but you had that diagram of a good setting, the table setup and where the camera and the monitor should be. What's the purpose of 2 cameras?
One camera is to focus on the speaker. The other camera is to focus on the virtual audience.
Okay. All right, great.
When we have not been using 2 cameras yet at our local club. So when I'm watching, because the speaker is, we're by the way, we have our meeting room and it's perfect at the Black Hawk Technical College, which is part of the university system. And if any of you are looking for a good place for a Toastmaster meeting, no charge. They got all the equipment, you got everything. They may not have the second camera, but their cameras are mounted in the ceiling in the back of the room. And so when that ceiling is shooting towards the speaker, you're seeing the bald heads, or you're seeing the hair that's blown way out. That's why you got to package yourself. I'm not selling wigs, but I like bald heads. I wondered all the time how I would look if I did that, but it's too late for me to try.
Yeah. Tom, do you have any experience with a new member induction being conducted in a hybrid setting?
I have not.
Okay, how about anyone else out there? Todd? Todd's got his hands raised up. Do you want to share your experience, Todd? How you guys go about doing that?
So it's not my club, but I was in a club last Thursday that had an evaluation workshop going on. And in the beginning, they actually inducted 2 new members. And what they did was the typical part where, you know, they escorted the people who were in the room out of the room with one of the sergeant at arms. They didn't ask any of the members who were online to, you know, not be part of the judging or voting. And then they did the vote after they asked the question. And then he brought the person back in, and then the VP of membership read the club part. The members answered in their response. Then they said, "Oh, you're a new member." Clap, clap, clap. It was done.
Okay.
I would recommend that the induction of new members be a special event, and that will increase more people into the audience. Why not invite Aunt Tilly and Uncle Joe, or your children, and make it an event, make it a special occasion. That's called publicity. That's called marketing.
All right. Any other questions out there for Tom?
Is there anyone in District 35 who's had experience producing a film or producing a program that appears on television?
I think we have a whole club devoted to that.
Speak TV.
Right.
What do they recommend for how to put on a hybrid meeting so they capture all views or all perspectives?
I'm not sure that I can tell you what they would recommend. You'd have to ask them, but I'm sure that if that challenge was put to that club, they've got the talent to tell you how to do it.
And the president is moving back to the area on the 11th. So he'll be here in person. Currently, we're meeting, I'm a member of Speak TV. Currently, we're meeting virtually, but with David back, we might have some as well. We also have an actor in the club and people with great video chops, and they've been on commercials. So we have photographers, we have all kinds of talent there.
All right, so we've got a question in chat from Steve. How important is it to create a hybrid meeting venue that allows the in-person speaker to move around the stage? Seems to be something that is missing from the virtual meetings. And, you know, his question is, we're looking for ideas to incorporate that into a hybrid meeting. So just kind of that struggle. How do you retain good audio and video lighting for the virtual participants?
The reason I am seated is because of the medical situation I experienced last September. And I have fallen flat on my face and kissed the floor with my face more than once. So I do not trust myself to be standing for any period of time, but that would probably be the first thing to do, would be to ask the speaker to move back. And if he's got a headset on, I think you're still going to hear my voice, even though I'm getting further back in my rolling chair. So there might need to be some experimenting done to do that. But again, the stage is limited by what the camera is picking up.
Yeah, and it sounds like that's the challenge you guys are facing, Steve.
Yeah, I think the menu that we have is relatively dark. And so we were going to have a little bit of a light there for the lectern so that they could be seen. And, you know, we could have certainly a mic at that position. But if we have a speaker who wants to move around the stage, we can get a microphone with a longer cord perhaps, but then lighting the whole front of the stage will be just about impossible, I think. We do realize we're probably going to have to experiment a little bit. And just like our first virtual meetings weren't probably the greatest, our first hybrid meetings probably won't be the greatest. We'll have some things to figure out. But I just wondered if anybody else had come up with a solution. If we had the lighting figured out, I think we could figure out the sound, and the camera would just have to be a wide angle view of the front of the room, I think.
Or maybe even multiple cameras, right? So
Yeah.
kind of covering different angles. Jason had a comment.
One of my clubs is meeting hybrid, and that club, we make sure we use a pretty good quality speakerphone as our microphone for the room that picks up the room well. But we also make sure on the laptop that's on the lectern that the speaker view is showing there, so that the speaker can see themselves and how they're framed, just like we practice when we're virtual. We can see the frame that we're in, so that as they're practicing and relearning the in-person portion, they're able to see themselves and not rely just on the feedback as well.
I've thought of going to a professional photographer and ask for his advice.
Okay.
Lighting is is critical, and those guys know how to handle it.
All right. Okay, Todd's got a question. Where in the room, or how do you display the virtual members in the diagram, so that you had that table set up, that diagram? Where's the monitor, or where's the TV, or where's the screen that shows the virtual members?
I'm not sure I know the answer to that, except that in the meeting room, the virtual members are on a screen.
Yeah, so I think Todd's question was, where does that screen, where's a good place to put that screen in the room?
It should be as close to the lectern or where the speaker is. If the speaker has to walk away from the lectern to point to the screen, an item on the screen or someone on the screen, it'd be better to have a laser light that you just point that little red line that goes to the screen. If I'm understanding the question correctly, any screen at our club in Janesville, the room has a drop-down screen. So we have to put the lectern where it's relatively close to the screen. And because we set the tables up so that the end of our table is pointing towards the lectern, we can put that row of screen of tables anywhere.
Okay, Sherry, I see you had your hand up.
Yes, my experience with this sort of thing has been, as far as standing up, getting more of a room or whatever, is that lots of times you lose a lot. If you've got somebody standing up toward or further to the back of the room, you can't see their eyes. You can't see minor movements, which may enhance the speech or not. You know, you have trouble distinguishing any features in a lot of the ones I have seen. And some clubs have proven to be resistant to letting people do like Tom did, sit down, like we're doing. So they insist that's what you do, but you're lucky to see it's a suit and a tie, let alone it's a real live person. So to me, that detracts from it so much, and I think it has to be situational. But that's my 2 cents.
Thank you. Susan makes the comment in chat that her meetings are typically half in person and half virtual, and before the meeting, there's a lot of setup involved and in-person people's interacting. So how do you go about bringing in those virtual meetings into that experience, because they're not physically in the room?
I haven't had to deal with that situation, but as I understand it, people that set up the room should get there ahead of the meeting time, so it's done before the meeting. I think anybody that understands that the room is being set up, that the meeting, like Keith did it tonight, it's 7 o'clock, and he started the meeting, and just that alone should shut off the chatter. But I don't think there's a way to eliminate that chatter ahead of that time.
No, I think she's looking at it more as a positive. Am I correct, Susan? Yeah. So, you know, in fact, I just had a 4-day workshop at work, and we had 30 people in person and maybe another 20 coming and going online, and the people that were virtual kept piping up and saying, seems like you guys are having a lot of fun there. And like they were missing out on some of the personal interaction.
Now
they weren't on video, by the way. They only had audio, but nevertheless.
We expect in the future, from what I've read preparing for this presentation, facial recognition, voice and facial recognition. And with the proper cameras, as I understand it, when someone is speaking in the room, the equipment will recognize that voice and will focus on that person. So hybrid meetings aren't what they will be in the future. We're way ahead of where we started out 2 years ago. I attended a meeting last Saturday, and there were members from Crimea. There were members from Ukraine, Iran. Some of our clubs, we have a member from Australia. Hybrid meetings are going to become more of a factor in the future than they were before. So this is the wrong time to be resistant to switching to hybrid meetings. Just remember that hybrid meetings are combining 2 different meetings into one, and you have to experiment and find the ways to make that more effective.
So we had a comment in chat earlier about eye contact. All right, so you mentioned it, Tom, in your presentation, how it's important to speak to the camera, but how does one go about practicing that and training oneself when, you know, I'm looking at, you know, the Brady Bunch squares here, and so I'm trying to pick up, you know, individual facial interactions and as people pipe up and speak, yet I really should be looking here instead of down here.
You
So
can you can have a personal Zoom account. And so I had that on this evening before. So I find out that when I have my head in this position, there's a shining on my glasses. Am I correct?
Mhm.
If I teach it slightly forward, it's gone. Am I correct?
right, a little bit.
So I experimented by using my private or personal virtual Zoom account. That doesn't cost anything.
Okay.
One thing I wanted to mention that I didn't, that really bothers me a lot. Now, again, because of I can't drive at night, so I'm going to be virtual unless somebody picks me up. But this is what you don't want.
All right, I'll remember that.
This is better. Got a straw.
Lori, I saw you were waving your hand. Were you just being friendly, or did you have something you wanted to add there?
Yeah, just something real quick, Keith. It's important just to briefly talk about Wi-Fi and where your venue is. And if your Wi-Fi has got crap Wi-Fi, your Zoom meetings are going to be terrible. And you can, and you know, then you can have your phone has a hotspot, and then but that chews up data like crazy. We've had meetings die because their hotspot died. So it's important, like Tom, if your place has got great Wi-Fi, it's the best. But it's Wi-Fi can be a big problem with hybrid, unfortunately.
I just had installed a new Wi-Fi, and I learned something. The one I had was 12 years old.
Oh my God.
And they die.
Yeah.
So if you're having trouble dropping, go to your wherever you go to get help, and you might need to have a new Wi-Fi.
Yeah, I know a Toastmaster that was competing in a speech contest recently, and they have spotty Wi-Fi, you know, internet connection at home. They didn't want that to happen during the contest, so they went into the office and delivered their speech from the office, and I think it must have worked out pretty well for them.
There are distractions for the virtual audience also, and that's what we see on the screen. So I'm looking here now at a view. So when I'm speaking and I see, that's what I see. We have to get out of the habit thinking that we're in a room alone. It's not so anymore. This is something that's got to stop.
All right, good luck with that one. keep reminding us, but yeah, it's I agree.
The whole purpose of my presentation tonight, why I asked you, Keith, if this would be a good subject, and you agreed it would be, is if we get into marketing, I'm going to do one of the breakout sessions at the convention, and I'm going to build it on marketing. If we do a good job of marketing, we're going to have people coming to our hybrid meetings because we give them access. I'm hoping to start a speechcraft at the local Chamber of Commerce. That's a market that has all business people or people who are working in the commercial world, where communication skills are vitally important. We have to put on there's no, I don't see any reasons to not put on a speechcraft virtually, hybrid wise. But we've got to do it right. We've got to be professional, or they're not going to come back.
Right. Okay. We've probably got more questions than we have time to address. There was a series of questions about speaker position, standing up or sitting down. Any comments, preferences? What you're sitting down, but Tom, you described why, but
someone mentioned that the further away you get from the camera, the less you get of people's eye gesturing. So I don't know how to change that.
Yeah.
But I think it's generally assumed that a standing position is possibly a little bit better. But District 35 has been putting on some of the world champions, putting on a webinar type program. And some of them are sitting. We might just have to get away from the expectation that speakers should always be standing. If we do it right and do it professionally, I think people will accept it. I don't think if the subject matter is good, and if the vocal variety is good and the gestures are good, I don't think people are going to leave a virtual meeting or a hybrid meeting because you're not standing up. But if it's not professionally done, they might leave.
Mhm. Right.
Toastmasters, we're all in an art form. We're all artists. Artists never, ever stop practicing. They may get thousands of dollars for one performance. And the night before, the day before, they were practicing. Toastmasters, when Dale Carnegie comes into town and takes $2,000 out of everybody's pocket, and the program is over in 12 or 14 weeks, whatever it is, they're gone, they're out of town. Toastmasters is still here. We've got to sell that benefit of Toastmasters. Once you get into the program, I've had 44 years of membership, and I'm going to keep my membership going until I can't get out of bed.
That's fantastic. I see Jason shared a YouTube channel that was done by a Toastmaster that has some additional useful tips on hybrid and virtual. So I'll direct everyone's attention to the chat window and grab that. In fact, maybe we can include that on the district website where we got all this material.
That would be great.
Mm-hmm. All right.
The part I didn't get to on my presentation is about clothing. Google it. There are lots of wonderful recommendations as to what you should do and what you should not do as far as your appearance. And that's all about the packaging.
Yeah, so true. All right. Well, we are at the top of the hour again. For me, this was a fantastic session. I really enjoyed it. Thank you, Tom, for your presentation, and thanks everyone really for chipping in with additional comments and questions. So hope you all found some value in it, and please, spread the word about these sessions. Pass the information on to your club members and other clubs, and make sure that they're able to access the district website and get this very useful information.
If anyone has any suggestions to improve a presentation like this, let me know. I do not take offense.
All right. Thanks again, Tom, and thanks everyone for showing up tonight. Have a good evening.